I'm Leo, 28, and I suppose I'm writing this to get it off my chest and process whether I handled things correctly. I'd been with Serafina, 26, for nearly 3 years. We'd lived together for the last year and a half. Everything felt rock solid, or so I believed. It all began one unremarkable evening. Serafina texted around 7, saying she was off to her mother, Ilara's, place because Ilara was feeling unwell. Nothing unusual there. Serafina's incredibly close with Ilara and visits her at least twice a week. I was planning a chill gaming night with the guys anyway, so I just texted back, "Hope she feels better. Love you." Here's where it gets interesting. About an hour later, setting up my console, I spotted Serafina's iPad on the coffee table. She'd left it, which was unusual for her, as it usually went everywhere with her. The Find My app was still open from when she'd last used it to locate her AirPods. And right there, starkly displayed, was her Apple Watch location, the Meridian Hotel downtown, miles from Ilara's suburban home. My initial thought was she'd made a quick stop, but 30 minutes later, she was still there, specifically at the hotel's rooftop bar, as indicated by the detailed floor view. I could have called her, even driven there, but a gut feeling held me back. If she was lying about being at Ilara's, there was a reason, and I wanted to uncover it before revealing my hand. So I took a screenshot, circled the bar, and sent it to Ilara with a playful, yet pointed message. Looks like she missed her exit winking face. "Hope you're feeling better." Ilara's response was instantaneous. 3 missed calls in 2 minutes. When I finally picked up, her confusion was palpable. "What do you mean? I'm not sick. I haven't spoken to Serafina since Tuesday." I explained. Ilara's confusion quickly morphed into a terrifying fury. She simply stated she'd handle it and hung up. 20 minutes later, my phone exploded with calls and texts from Serafina. I let them all go to voicemail. Her text started friendly. "Hey babe, mom's feeling better. Heading home soon." Then concerned. "Why aren't you answering? Is everything okay?" Progressing to frantic. "Leo, please pick up. This isn't what it looks like. I can explain everything. Please answer your phone." I powered off my phone and continued gaming. When I finally checked it around midnight, I found 37 missed calls, 52 texts, and 8 voicemails. The final voicemail was her sobbing, claiming she was locked out of our apartment, needing me to let her in. Through the peephole, I saw her, makeup smeared, a dress far too fancy for a night spent nursing a sick mother. I opened the door just enough to say, "Your belongings will be boxed by Monday," then closed it firmly in her face. The ensuing pounding and yelling probably roused half the building, but I simply put on my noise-canceling headphones and retreated to the guest room. The next morning, Serafina was still curled against our door. When I opened it, she literally toppled backward into the apartment, much to the visible embarrassment of Carl, the building manager, who explained that several neighbors had complained about the previous night's commotion. I apologized, helped her up, and gave her an hour to pack essentials. That's when her astounding sense of entitlement fully emerged. She had the audacity to be furious with me. "You humiliated me," she shrieked. "My mom called me 47 times. She showed up at the hotel. Do you know how embarrassing that was?" I just stared. "You lied about your whereabouts," I stated. "I wasn't doing anything wrong. I was just getting drinks with friends," she wailed. "Which friends?" "Silenced. Male or female friends?" "More silenced. And why lie if it was so innocent?" She instantly switched tactics, transforming from enraged accuser to weeping victim in a blink. Tears, sobs, the full performance, accusing me of being too controlling, needing space, unable to even enjoy a night out without my questioning. I pulled out my phone and showed her our text history. In 3 years, I had never once told her she couldn't go out, never checked up on her, never even asked for details unless she volunteered them. The only reason I knew where she was this time was pure accident. "But you sent my mother after me," she cried. "No, I sent your mother a screenshot showing you weren't where you said you'd be. What happened after that was between you two." She tried to storm into our bedroom, but I'd already changed the interior lock on that door, an easy swap I'd done at 6 a.m. Her essentials, clothes, toiletries, medications, were in boxes in the living room. I told her she could coordinate getting the rest through a third party. The nuclear meltdown that followed was something to behold. She called me every name in the book, said I'd regret this, that I was overreacting, that I was ruining the best thing that ever happened to me. Then came the kicker. You can't just kick me out. I live here. I have rights. She was correct. She'd lived there long enough to establish residency. But what she didn't know was that the lease was up for renewal in precisely 11 days, and only my name was on it. You're right, I said calmly, which is why I'm giving you 30 days notice that I won't be renewing the lease with you on it. Here's your formal notice. I handed her the document I'd printed that morning. The look on her face was utterly priceless. She snatched her boxes and stormed out, but not before delivering a final threat. Brock's going to hear about this. Brock, 31, her older brother, is an ex-Marine personal trainer who believes the sun rises and sets on his baby sister. I'd anticipated this card. Cool, I replied. Tell him I'll be at the gym at 6 a.m., as usual. She slammed the door so hard a picture fell off the wall. But the story didn't end there. That very afternoon, as I was deep cleaning the apartment, it's amazing how therapeutic it can be to discard someone's forgotten hair ties. My phone rang. An unknown local number. Hello. Hey, is this Leo? Serafina's boyfriend. Ex-boyfriend. Who's this? My name's Marcus. I'm a bartender at the Meridian. Look, I probably shouldn't be calling, but my conscience is killing me. My stomach dropped. What's going on? Your ex was here last night with some dude. They were all over each other until this older lady showed up and caused a scene. Security had to escort them all out. But here's the thing. This wasn't the first time. What do you mean? I mean, she's been coming in every Friday for the past 2 months. Always with the same guy, always paying cash. Always left together around 11. I remember because she tips like crap and acts like hell to my staff. I thanked Marcus and hung up. 2 months, every Friday. All those times she was at Alera's, or out with the girls, or working late. And it got even better. The next morning, a text from Alera. Can we talk? I have information you need to know. We met for coffee. Alera looked a mix of exhausted and furious. She slid a folder across the table. I did some digging after Friday night, she said. The man she was with? That's Julian Thorne, her boss's son. I nearly choked on my coffee. Serafina worked as a marketing coordinator at a mid-sized firm. Her boss, Eleanor Thorne, was known for being a no-nonsense, hard-as-nails executive who tolerated zero BS. Her son, Julian, 34, married with 2 kids, worked in the family business. There's more, Alera continued. I called Eleanor yesterday. Professional courtesy, mother to mother. Turns out money has been steadily vanishing from the marketing budget. Small amounts, but consistent. Eleanor's been trying to figure out who's responsible. You think Serafina? I don't think. I know. Julian has been approving fraudulent expense reports, fancy dinners claimed as client meetings, hotel charges for conference rooms. Eleanor, she said, was gathering evidence for a formal investigation. I sat back, stunned. Not only was Serafina cheating, but she was doing it on her company's dime. Why are you telling me this? I asked. Alera's face hardened. Because she's my daughter, and I love her, but I didn't raise a liar and a thief. She made her bed. Now she gets to lie in it. Then she pulled out her phone. Also, she's been telling people you were abusive and controlling, that you were the reason she had to sneak around. I'm not letting her drag your name through the mud. She showed me Serafina's Instagram story, a black screen with white text. Sometimes you don't realize you're in a toxic relationship until you try to breathe. Starting fresh. Broken heart. The comments were overflowing with support from her friends. You deserve better. He never appreciated you. Controlling men are the worst. I laughed. Actually guffawed. She's really going all in on this narrative? Oh, honey, Alera said, patting my hand. She has no idea what all in truly means yet. Sure enough, Brock was waiting at my gym, not alone. He'd brought 2 of his buddies, all decked out in matching tough guy workout gear. I strode right past them to the front desk. Hey, Marcus, I said to the manager. Those 3 gentlemen are here to intimidate me over a personal matter. Would you mind asking them to leave? Marcus, bless his soul, didn't even blink. Absolutely. The look on Brock's face when security approached was pure gold. He tried to argue he was a member, but Marcus pulled up his account. Actually, your membership was revoked 6 months ago for aggressive behavior towards staff. You're trespassing. Turns out Brock had been banned for roid raging at a trainer. Serafina had been using her key fob to let him in anyway. Another policy violation to add to the list. They left, but not before Brock bellowed, "This isn't over." In fact, it was about to be very over. Within days, Serafina's world was collapsing faster than a house of cards in a hurricane. Eleanor Thorne had moved forward with the investigation. It turned out Serafina and Julian had stolen close to $8,000 over 2 months through fake expense reports. Not enough to live lavishly, but certainly enough to fund their Friday night hotel adventures and the girls' weekends I'd always believed. I knew this because Eleanor herself called me. Why? Because some of those expense reports listed me as a client. They were entertaining. My LinkedIn profile, my supposed company connections, my name forged on dinner receipts. "I need you to confirm you've never had any business dealings with our firm," Eleanor said, her voice arctic cold. "Never," I confirmed. "I work in software development. We have no overlap. Would you be willing to sign an affidavit to that effect? Send it over." Soon after, Serafina was fired. Julian was fired. Eleanor filed charges for embezzlement and fraud. But Serafina's entitlement reached new, breathtaking heights. She actually showed up at my office. Security called to warn me, and I instructed them to let her wait in the lobby, but not allow her upstairs. I watched from my desk via the security feed as she sat there, designer bag, likely bought with stolen money, clutched in her lap, checking her phone every 2 minutes. After an hour, I went down. "Serafina," she jumped up, arms outstretched as if we were in some rom-com. I stepped back. "How could you do this to me?" she hissed. "Do what?" "Tell the truth when asked." "You got me fired. I'm being charged with crimes." "You got yourself fired. You committed crimes." "It was just—" Julian said it was fine. "Everyone does it. You don't understand how corporate culture works." "I understand theft. And so does the district attorney." She actually stomped her foot like a toddler. "You're ruining my life over a few dinners. You ruined your own life. I merely declined to lie for you." Then came the manipulation masterclass. She cycled through tears. "I loved you. How can you be so cold?" "Bargaining. If you tell that we were together at those dinners, this all goes away. Threats. I'll tell everyone you abused me. Guilt tripping. 3 years meant nothing to you. And more tears. I have nowhere to go." That last one was a lie. Alara confirmed Serafina was staying with her, but had worn out her welcome in record time by expecting Alara to call in sick to drive her around. Serafina's car had been repossessed. Turns out she'd been missing payments, demanding money for a lawyer, trying to get Alara to lie about witnessing business dinners, leaving disaster zones everywhere and expecting maid service, and even bringing Julian over while Alara was at work. He was also freshly divorced by this point. Security eventually escorted Serafina out when she refused to leave. She made enough of a scene that building management banned her from the premises. But the peak of her entitlement came one evening. I was at home, finally enjoying some peace when my landlord called. Serafina had contacted him, claiming to be my wife, asserting I was having a mental breakdown and she needed emergency access to the apartment for my safety. Fortunately, my landlord knew I was the sole tenant on the lease and called me instead of letting her in. She was very convincing, he said, even had a fake concern in her voice, said you were off your medications, and she was worried you might hurt yourself. I sent him screenshots of her texts threatening to make me pay and destroy my life. He assured me he'd handle it if she showed up again. She did. Late one night, she arrived with Julian and a locksmith she'd convinced she was locked out of her apartment. The locksmith quickly noped out when he saw the police my landlord had called. Serafina was arrested for attempted breaking and entering. Julian was arrested for violating the restraining order his ex-wife had against him. Apparently, she'd followed him to my building. I found out about all this the next morning when Alara called me. She used her one phone call to call me, Alara said, sounding utterly exhausted. Not to apologize, not to ask for bail, but But to scream at me for not bailing her out fast enough last time and demand I put my house up as collateral for her bail. What did you say? I told her she could sit there and think about her choices. Then I hung up and blocked the jail's number. Her entitlement didn't cease. Over the following week, she had Julian's ex-wife contact me to compare notes and suggest we sue them together. I politely declined, wishing her well. Serafina tried to claim I owed her half the apartment security deposit. The judge laughed that out of court. She even posted a GoFundMe, claiming she was a victim of workplace harassment and needed legal fees. It raised a grand total of $45, all from Julian. Various flying monkeys contacted me with sob stories about her being suicidal/homeless/starving. She was, in fact, living with an aunt and working at her aunt's salon. Concluding update. Several months have passed since that evening when I sent Alara the fateful screenshot. Here's where everyone ended up. Serafina pled guilty to reduced charges of misuse of company funds, 18 months probation, 200 hours community service, and restitution. She's working at her aunt's salon, living in a studio apartment, and last I heard from Alara, she's dating another married man she met at court-ordered therapy. Some people truly never learn. Julian lost his job, his wife, split custody of his kids, and is paying alimony. Also on probation, he started a business consulting firm, essentially trying to MLM his way out of debt. Brock was arrested a couple of weeks after the gym incident for assault at a bar. Serafina couldn't bail him out this time. He's serving 90 days. Alara is thriving. She cut Serafina off completely after Serafina tried to steal her credit card for lawyer fees. Alara joined a book club, started dating a wonderful man from her church, and sent me Christmas cards. Me? I'm good. I renewed the lease, got a promotion at work. Turns out having a crazy ex makes your boss remarkably sympathetic to needing time off for court. And I've started dating a woman from my climbing gym who finds this entire story wild. My only regret is not recognizing the red flags sooner. But hey, lesson learned. The Meridian Hotel's bartender, Marcus, hit me up last month. Apparently, they now have a photo of Serafina and Julian proudly displayed behind the bar as band customers. He said the staff calls it the Wall of Shame, and my ex has the dubious honor of being couple number 3. Looking back, that split-second decision to send a screenshot instead of confronting her directly was the best choice I could have made. It allowed her entitlement to fully expose itself without me getting entangled in the drama. Sometimes, the best revenge isn't elaborate. It's simply stepping back and allowing people to face the consequences of their own actions. To anyone who's been cheated on, you deserve better. Don't let them gaslight you into thinking their betrayal is your fault. And always trust your gut. Peace out. P.S. Since so many asked, yes, this is real. No, I'm not taking her back. And yes, Alara is basically my adopted mom now. She makes a killer lasagna.